Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network. Hi, this is Amit Doshi, and I wanted to thank each and every one of our listeners. It's been 2 years since I founded IVM, and it's been an amazing 2 years. We wanted to learn a little bit more about who is listening to our shows, and so we put together a short survey. The survey is anonymous, and we aren't going to be collecting any personal information. I would really appreciate it if you could take a couple of minutes out of your day and go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and fill it out. Thanks, and please keep listening.
You're listening to Keeping It Queer with Naveen Narona.
Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Keeping It Queer. Today in the studio with me, I have Sumit Pawar, who's very active in the LGBT scene and very talented because he's played a key role in guiding a lot of youth groups in the country. So welcome, Sumit. First of all, I'm glad you could make it because from an outsider perspective, first when I came to the scene, I could see you very active, very on the scene. And from a layman's perspective, as I said, it's amazing to have someone who acts as a face of the entire community sometimes, because that's what we need sometimes. People who stand up and become more than just key members, but become something different. So let's go back to the past and understand how this happened, and when did you first decide to use your powers as a face of a community?
Yep. So basically, I wanted to go to my college days. So it was first year, and we all started talking about how to get easy marks. Bunking lectures till you get the good marks. So I started. So we got one opportunity called NSS. You get into the NSS, you get a 10 marks without doing anything. So
what is NSS?
NSS is a National Service Scheme. How it is NCC. So we also have a core which happens every college should have. And they do a lot of social activities, going out, talking rallies, or doing blood donation camps and all. So we were not keen about those things. We were keen about 10 marks. So I had 10, 15 friends. We chalo, let's get into this whole thing, because also in NSS, if you're going for activity, you don't need to sit the lectures.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes, not every time. See, every youth has this tendency in the college with days that, how can you get easy get out of the lectures and all. So I'm going to it's also, I will tell you that later that its whole thing perspective has changed. So when I started to join, then there are a lot of activities. So on the summer vacation started, and that time there was a 10 days camp. So we okay, let's go to this camp. And that camp changed my whole perspective about talking about getting to the NSS, doing activities and all. So there I started learning about how we can give back to the society. So I am commerce students, and for whole my background as Marwadi family, working in the all business and everything, money-minded people. So I was in the commerce college, but after that camp, I realized that there's nothing it's always, so money is not everything. Beyond that, you need to think about it. Whatever the society is giving you today, you need to at least give some bit of out of this. So I thought that social work is something which I can get very easy along with, and I can do a lot of things. So
plus, with all your bunking experiences, you have enough practice.
That's bunking was I think so that was my chance to get into the NSS. But later I never bunked the college because I was the face. Not even the face, but you are in the college, so that classes now I realize that after your college get over, after 1 year, 2 years, you realize that, oh my god, now there's nothing like a college when you start working. So that's what now I feel that after 1 year.
But you would still go back and do the same things again. You would not, if you went back to college and you still do not want to sit for lectures, you still won't sit for lectures. Because that's how we are. We eventually.
So it's everyone
the bunking and the parties is what we miss more from college.
That's very true. It depends upon the person to person how things. There are people who always sit for the lecture. I'm not the person who sits for all the lecture. I will sit for 2-3 lectures, but not all. So that's how I started. So I started getting into the whole activism mode, where we started going to the community. So my first job, which is part-time kind, I can say, because I used to do college and later I used to go for this job, which is 2 to 10. So I used to go to a community, talk to the community about the youth. Basically my whole forte was to train youth. So my perspective started building up from that first job, where I used to go to this slum area, where talk to this youth community to create a group talking about HIV, talking about life skill, because I'm talking about the 7 years back. So that time, like, you know, people don't think about what is the life skills, like, you know, talking to people or communication or on the platform, like how we can, like, you know, so that.
So like real outreach program.
Yeah. So
but let's go back for a second. And you said you were born in a Marwari family, very simple, conservative, orthodox, money-minded. You said, and I'm glad you put out the stereotype before I could. But so tell me more about your family and how was it for them initially?
So I will say one thing is, like, I'm very happy about my like, you know, this mom, dad, bhai, bhabhi wala family, because my joint family is not so open. My mom has, like, you know, my mom and dad has struggled a lot. They, like, you know, they moved out from Rajasthan, my dad and my mom, and started staying in their own, like, you know, earning. And like, you know, my mom and dad, they are not educated, like, you know, they are not studying anything. But the one thing which I really like about my mom and dad, they thought about is this, ki we are not educated, but our children should not be like that. They must have thought of, like, you know, putting a business and, like, you know, putting them
in the business
itself. But my moms and my dad still,
which is a lot of people doing, like, you know, people who migrate now have stuck to that model of, you know, like, we open a small thing,
some Kiryana shop or some, like, you know, Marwadi, I'll tell you, Kiryana shop or Bhangarwala shop or some jeweler shop. It's like that.
Really, like, putting in the stereotypes, like, nice and thick.
I know people need to get out of this whole stereotype thing that, you know, if you're Marwadi, you have to go to this business. If you're Gujarati, you have to do this. I don't like that thing. Like, why?
Yeah, but like, so that's also, like, again, like, we don't want to be stereotyped, but we also should not be doing the stereotypical things for people to be criticizing us in the first place. That's a nice objective. Yeah.
So that's how my mom, dad, like, you know, started raising us, like, to do that thing. So, but my still, like, you know, till now, my joint family, like my uncle, aunt, they always, like, say, like, you know, why you're not getting married? Why you're not doing this? Why you're studying more? You can, like, you know, start open some like, you know, shop or something. But my mom was there, like, she's like, you know, no, this is my family, like, you know, this is thing what I want to do. They should educate, like, done with the 15 standard, like, you know, TY Becom or something. It's not going to give you any better jobs or better things, something like that. So that was the one thing, like, I'm very happy about. I'm blessed. The parents which I got, like, you know, they never stopped me doing anything. Like, after, like, completed my commerce background, but still I got into the development field where, you know, the job stability is not there. There's no much money in this whole, like, you know, when you do the social work.
That's true.
So there's no much money. So my mom and dad are always, like, you know, whatever decision I have taken till now, they are there with me that, you know, okay, you can go ahead. So my mom, dad, this family is, like, you know, direct relation, there's no problem. But whenever I talk about my other relatives, they have always have a, like, you know, talking about me, like, why he's doing this, why he's not doing, like, you know, about on the Pride also. So many times, like, if I go to Pride, if I go to some, like, you know, events where transgenders are there or click pictures with a transgender. So like, you know, more than my own family, this whole relatives, neighborhood people started, like, you know, talking about why things are happening.
And that is none of their business.
That's none of the. And seriously, that's one day I told my mom that, you know, mom, the day you feel that, you know, I'm doing something wrong, tell me that day, I'll stop that day.
True.
Because you have all rights on me, because you gave me birth. None of the neighborhood, none of the relatives gave me birth. So that's what I feel. That's how.
That's a key thing I notice. A lot of people and a lot of my friends who have come out, including me, have faced this, where, like, their families took some time, but they came around. But their neighbors and their aunts and uncles who are always, like, those pestering, you know, that devil you have on your shoulder, always just whispering evil things in your ears. They're one of those, and I'll classify them right away, because you're not looking out for our good health, you're not looking out for our benefits, you're looking out for your own gossip. Because you are like, at least some way, this way I can tell something to others, and, you know, maybe kind of gnawing on people's brain, like sitting on their head and eating their brains will give you some closure on that. And how do we tackle these aunts and uncles and gossipy aunties?
No, I was like this again. This is because of my college. I started because, you know, in the college one day I, like, you know, everyone got to know about me, and then I thought about, like, you know, 10
But how did they come to know?
So one of my ex's picture and my picture got leaked, and it was very like, you know, it's not like that easily someone will get that picture.
Achha.
Someone got that picture, and it was
something scandalous.
Yeah, okay. It was everywhere. Like, you know, it was on my all the council's desktop screen. It was a screen saver for there.
Shit. Somebody, like, really
gone there. that far. I think so. Like, no,
That was a prank gone wrong, or like somebody was doing it out of spite.
No, someone was doing. Actually, someone wanted it because I was like everywhere in the college. Like, I was the general secretary in the college. I was like, people were knowing me in the college. I was used to represent college in outside states. So people used to know about all this. So someone was like, out of jealousy, might have done that.
And this is this very like lame thing to do because someone's doing well, so I'll use the sexuality angle to exploit them. That's how it's going to work.
Yeah, so I was like, I was with my ex in the Goa, and like suddenly this is what things are happening. So one of my one of my best friends, she called me up and she's like, where exactly are you? And like, I'm in Goa, I'm enjoying right now. And she's like, oh, okay. She must have thought about right now, I don't need to give this news to him. So she said, like, don't do anything, just come whenever you're free, come to college and meet me. So when I back Bombay, the day I were here, next day I went to college morning and I was like sitting in the gymkhana nicely. I was like, I was not knowing about all this thing. I was sitting and I was like, okay. So one of my friend came in, like, he just like showed me his phone screen. On that screen there's a picture, and I was just like blank, like what to say, right? Like, it was my best friend, and like what to tell them, like what's going on. So they like, I started making some thing like, this is some picture which I was doing some like movie film, short film. From there, this picture is like, suddenly. So they said, okay, no problem. We know about you, and we don't really care about this.
We just stop making up all these terrible lies.
So I said, they said, like, stop right now. We just like, we have deleted. That was really amazing. They are my best friend. So before I come to Bombay also, they have just gone to everywhere and deleted all the pictures from the desktop, from the phones, whoever they can find. So
they actually went out of the way to.
So they did that. After like 10 minutes of this conversation, I was not okay to open up, because it's been like almost 3-4 years, but still I was like, my college was again Marwadi college, so the whole culture is like, very orthodox. I don't know how they're going to take it and all. So I just went out, like said, I have some urgent work, and I just left from the place. So after like 10 minutes walking, I realized that if today I am running out of this problem, like I will be running everywhere. So I called them up and I said that, I want to talk to you people. Like, tell me, want to talk to you, come back to the Gymkhana, we'll talk on this thing.
But your friends, you mean? Like
yeah,
the
ones? Best close friend, those who called me up. So I told them, like, see, this is the thing right now. So they said, like, we were knowing all these things, so don't worry about it. We are not like, going to be get out of you, will be not our friend or something like that. We just wanted to tell you these things are happening in the college.
They were the first people you actually came out to.
Yeah. So from
in the
that,
Gymkhana.
Yeah, in the Gymkhana. So from that day till now, I never looked back. And I thought one thing, and this is one thing in my life is like, tomorrow you'll come to me and you ask me about my sexuality, I will tell you. I will not go and like, do the advertisement of that, oh, I'm this. Because
or now will I exploit somebody else to push my agenda. But that's really brave of you to like have done that. So like from that perspective of you're coming out to these people, you are now brave enough to
so now I never give anything, like, if some relatives or anyone who asks me about anything or people talk about, I said, look, dude, this is my life. Whatever I'm doing, this is for myself and I'm taking my decision. You don't need to come in between of my decision. So now I think so everyone has learned, like from past 2-3 years, they have learned that thing, no one can mess with me about these things.
Damn right they can't mess with you. So we'll take a small break here. Sumit and I are here keeping it queer, and we'll be back after a break. Thank you.
Hey friend, so if you're listening to a podcast right now, you're probably some kind of a nerd at heart at least. So maybe, just maybe, you might like another podcast about nerds, by nerds, and for nerds.
It's called Geek Fruit, a community to unite estranged geeks from across India and later on the world. We talk about television, movies, science fiction, adventure, fantasy, etc. Anything nerdy, it's all here on Geek Fruit. You can catch a fresh episode every Monday and a retcon episode every Tuesday.
And you can check us out on iTunes, Audioboom, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps. Like my favorite podcast app, the IVM podcast app. Give me my money, IVM.
Good plug.
Happy listening, you nerds.
Welcome back to Keeping It Queer, and with me in the studio, as I said, is Sumit Pawar, a prominent activist for the youth. And you said that from the very beginning, you took the youth angle while you were going out with the NSS, also talking about HIV and talking about cleanliness and hygiene and rights. So why was the youth so key to your agenda?
So basically, if you talk about India again is the largest youth country, like population-wise also, and I believe if you want to change in something in the society, there people say like start with the older people. But I feel that young generation, if I'll start now, my direction is like, if you change the young generation, not like this generation, but in the next generation there will be a big change. And youth is very easy because it's a time when nurture something, you talk to them. The whole mindset starts from youth. When you are youth, with to go to college, your whole mentality, your whole to understand about anything, it grows from there. If you go to some older guy, you will say talk about LGBT. They will say, I know about all this shit. You don't talk about it.
But that's a disparity we notice, that it's common to have like younger support more than the generation that went before us. And do you think there's always going to be that problem communicating to them? Because is that a lost cause, or should we still try? Because your approach is different.
Sometimes it's very difficult to some people are very orthodox. They have set of rules that this things goes like this only. I met a lot of people who are very old, pretty much my dada, dadi, nana, nani or kind of age, but they are pretty much okay with what exactly about LGBT, queer things, and they are very supportive.
They're very weird as well. They're like, ki haan, gay hot chalega, lekin khana khaya beta.
That's what I'm talking about. But there are people who are like, oh God, ये तो हमारी संस्कृति नहीं है. आप इस तरह से उल्टा सीधा नहीं कर सकते. I have whenever I organize events, sometimes I organize events on the Juhu Beach, or sometimes we go to the Marine Drive. People come and like, oh God, बेटा ये हमारी संस्कृति नहीं है. So
politely
that's what happened. So I feel youth is very much strong for me. It's a platform where I can go to them, talk to them, because now if I talk to youth, they will understand. मेरी एज वाला कोई बंदा आकर मुझे बात करे या मैं किसी से जाकर बात करूँ, they will very easily understand. But the same way doesn't go with the other people also. I find some people are very orthodox people. They are coming from some small religious groups and all. They still say, oh God, this is not our culture. बच्चे कैसे पैदा करेंगे, शादी कैसे करेंगे? So I feel that still we are stuck in that शादी. We're still stuck in that बच्चे पैदा करने वाला.
This loop, which is just like how do you show them that you'll have kids without having it's simple, go to an adoption center or surrogacy, if you can just listen to it, but then surrogacy is not possible anymore.
I know. So that's the whole issue. People not go, the mindsets are that way. But in a young generation, still I can we can talk to them. There are still I find that thing that people who some youth who stays in such areas where such prominent mindsets are there, who are anti-LGBT or who are very prominent towards religious things and all. To talk to them also, sometimes it's become very difficult. Some youth are
because they have been conditioned like that for years and years, and now it's difficult to break through. But you have helped create something called the Yaria LGBT group, which is, we spoke about this with other founding members, like Shweta was here. And what role did you play when founding the group?
So I was not in the founder member. So it's founded in 2009. So then I joined 2014 I joined.
Oh, so the next generation of Yaria as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the Yaria is one of the key group I believe, because Yaria is all about youth. And when we also felt that thing when we when I started joining, I was a part of a Yaria before as a member, but then I become in 2014 I became a core member. So a platform where you get to know sometimes I am a young generation, so I want to talk to someone who is at my age, same age guy. Whereas there are a lot of groups and they are doing really pretty well. But Yaria is a platform where you get to know about your same age people. So you will be easy to talk to them. The ideas, the mindsets will be very easy to converse. So that's why I feel that Yaria is really, right now we have almost 5,000 people on that. Online, offline, we do a lot of events. So
that's
people
true.
come and share their ideas. Someone sitting in the Rajasthan or someone sitting in some village, but still he has
that's
access
the beauty
to
of social media as well. That brings people together, and like I see it's a hotspot of like so many ideas exchange and conversations, and so many like the levels of which people can discuss about. That's like, you know, my boyfriend, and like people talk about personal problems and girlfriend, and I slept with someone and I didn't want to tell them about whatever. Like, you know, like you have real case studies. Proper.
Yeah, like real case study. I was like, you know, we also get some like, you know, requests, people talking about like, you know, from different small towns, like, you know, this is this problem, how to come out. And sometimes this is become a platform to understand what is LGBT. Sometimes some young person is like, okay, I am the only one or what. So we have a, like, you know, different formats. Like, you know, we are on Facebook, we are on the Instagram, we are on YouTube channel, we are on like, you know, Twitter. So wherever people can find themselves easily, they can go and like, you know, find a lot of things about the LGBT community. And that's what I also right now I'm like, you know, triggering that we need to have something which is Indian origin, like, you know, content which is talk about Indian LGBT.
That's true.
Tomorrow, if I am like, you know, a very young person who doesn't know where to go, who doesn't know about any NGO, who doesn't know about any core group, who doesn't have any LGBT friend, so where exactly I should go? So online space become the only one source where I can go and find out.
And if you Google online, you obviously find more information from abroad.
Western.
Yeah.
So
correct.
then it's become very, you know, then my nana, my kaki, my uncle was talking about this is something Western culture. This is something like, you know, someone is imposing on Indian culture. So that's become...
वैसे gay genes हमारे body में है.
So वैसा होने से अच्छा, like, you know, create something Indian content so anyone who wants to talk about, you know, think about this if there is something there like in India. So it's like it's become very easy for everyone.
So they can't refute, and that's what we're trying to do with this podcast as well. Like, you know, people who come out to listen to podcasts and will understand ki there's not just like gay people abroad, but there's enough stories in India to keep you you know, engaged in terms of information sharing. Just like to be able to tell people that, you know what, there's gay people, deal with it, and now let your child who's now struggling to get information, let them have it. But then you went from Yaria, you went to QNet, and is that your venture?
So I started QNet. It's a YouTube channel. We have started in 2015. So basically the idea of like one of my friend one day we were just sitting and like, you know, plot something we want to do, and like, you know, she and me, like, you know, we were together. We said like, okay, I wanted to start a YouTube channel. So she said, okay, I also wanted to start a YouTube channel which is talk about all Indian things. Again, there's like how I was talking about the all Indian, like, you know, there should be a documentary movie you talk about Indian gay couples or Indian issues, or why always something we talk about like, you know, sad things. Why don't there will be some happy things, like, you know, what we do events. Like there are like a lot of events happen. Like prides happen, there are like film festivals happen, there are small events happen.
And that is an important point you brought up, is because like people have to understand that there's a lot of happiness in the gay community. Like, you know, we are of course bummed out by certain Supreme Court decisions or by people, you know, obviously there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of threat to life, but in itself, when the community comes together in close, safe spaces, we are very happy. We're just the best people to be around.
Like, you know, there was a trend in Delhi where every girls want a gay guy as a best friend, and now it's happening in India, Bombay. Like girls are very happy. They think we are very safe because there's a gay guy around and we can go
not
around.
Really ladies.
Okay.
When it comes to physical combat, we run away. But that's not true. But then we also are good with carrying shopping bags, so that comes in, you know, when the boyfriends run away. But we make light of the situation. But the truth is that like everybody might have a gay friend in their group. You never know.
Yeah, no one knows because it also depends upon how you make the comfortable for other person. Like I have feel that thing that, you know, in my wherever I work places, the surrounding, like, you know, only one places I couldn't like, you know, talk to people easily, because the surrounding was that way. So I think so that also makes more important that, you know, if your surroundings are more open, wider, people are more acceptance on the, you know, different. I'm not talking about the LGBT only. I'm talking about the everything, like, you know, from the place where exactly I'm coming from, what is my background. Everything also very makes important that, you know, if your circle is more open, you can talk to them.
Shouldn't be discriminatory in general. And that happens now. Like I see a lot of office cultures are now opening up to different ideas. Bigger companies are now taking the concept of like equal rights for everyone, equal pay for everyone. But we still lack short in terms of the morality of it, because when it comes to the bottom line, like we are Indians after all, who are running on certain principles and values, and as such anything that causes like a spanner in the works or causes like some kind of a shift, a cultural shift that is not taken lightly.
Yeah.
And you said like a lot of times people look at your costumes at the parade and like they question it, why are you wearing that? But when I look at that from my perspective, I see you as one of the most glamorously dressed person at the Pride, and your every Pride costume is something unique and different, and that's something so cool. I want to know how your whole wardrobe is decided before the Pride. How does that work?
So 2012 was the first time where Judgment came and everything. So that time I decided to wear as a the Kanun Ki Devi, and people has actually tagged me a Kanun Ki Devi, like because I was wearing the black color, whole black dress, and then I was Haath Mein Tarazu and all. So from it depends upon the what is the current situation is going on. Second thing also. Whenever any prides happen, now it become very lesser, but before it was whenever any pride happen, people are posting on the social media saying, oh my god, how much money you are wasting on this, people are just walking in the some different avatar, they are I don't know, unusual costumes and all. But I said really that is unusual.
They do that same at the fashion week and nobody says anything.
Yeah, nobody say that way. And second thing, people then this is what I get, sometimes after the prides happen, people start posting on Facebook, people start messaging me like, Sumit, do you think that doing all this or go clapping on the road or dancing on the road going to give us the freedom and all? But I said, see, listen, this is the one. And I also tell that people that pride is not only the protest. It is a celebration of my sexuality, my identity. People say, oh my god, I saw one girl, one transgender, he was clapping, he was laughing. Now what other people will say, what my mother, if see and what she will think. I said, dude,
they'll see that person is happy the way they are, and you don't have to worry about their happiness.
And why you questioning, being from the community, why you questioning? If I wanted to be like this,
someone from the community.
It's sometimes this is getting, I get this question from my community people only. That, people ask me that, why you people are doing this, about my costumes. A lot of time people say, why are you wearing all those things? So then I have to, sit and tell them half an hour arca story that what exactly is this because we are doing it. So back to the costume. So we decide costume on that way. Second thing, again, it's people should not think as in it's something Western thing is coming. So I try to make it more cultural, more wherever I go in whichever city. So I try to wear those outfits which is used in that city. If I go to the Chennai, so I wanted to wear the mundu, which is
and that's again something unique you do. You jump from one city to another, go to all the prides. You try to cover all the prides.
I try to cover all the prides.
So you were saying you went to Chennai and wore the mundu.
Yeah, so it's dependable. If I went to the last week only Nagpur. So in Nagpur, I try to wear those dhoti, and I start wearing this pagadi from sari, Nawari sari. So it's kind of mixture of the culture. Second thing, telling that people that we are not something which is coming out of sight. Wearing, if I go and wear some hot shorts going on the way, and people say, okay, this is something Western. But trying some Indian and going around, people will ask you also question that why you.
There's no problem with that. What you bring is you have a theme to your whole dress, and that's nice. One year you were a peacock. I was just like, why is Sumit dressed as a peacock? But I knew that I had to take a photo with you, and we have that photo.
Yeah.
But tell us more about that peacock costume.
So peacock was the last year in Mumbai Pride costume. So basically peacock is very I feel it's the beautiful bird.
National bird of India.
National bird of India. Yeah. Second thing, it's very colorful. So, and it's dance, I love dancing. So that's why one reason that. On that, another, I was wearing those peacock ka whole thing I created. So I put it all the heterosexual people, homosexual people, and it was the whole love triangle I have made. It can be with
you had a flowchart on your back. Basically what was happening. But it was madness. And so let's take a break now, and when we come back, we'll talk about where Sumit will go next.
Did you know that some termites in Africa have a pleasantly minty flavor?
Did you know that India's largest music festival was in a way conceptualized in Estonia?
Did you know that the awesomest chips in the world are found only inside US prisons?
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Sriket.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are
Simplified,
a podcast that helps you appear smarter to an audience that knows no different.
Or give you some stuff to talk about at parties.
We are ultra-crepidarians.
And if you don't know what that means,
then tune into Simplified with a B on iTunes, Audioboom, or your favorite podcasting app. Episodes out every fortnight.
Welcome back to Keeping It Queer, and we were discussing in the break, Sumit, how you also represent India on so many different forums, and that's inspiring again because we need a face to go out. So tell us all about the various ambassador projects you do.
So again, also whenever I started working or whenever I wanted to be a representing India in a different platform, so I realized that I don't want to be just because I'm from the community or just LGBT activist. So I just don't want to be worked only with the LGBT issues.
True.
Sometimes some people will question that, okay, you are LGBT activist and you're working only for that thing. So that's not me. I wanted to work overall thing. So I started working with the first.
Because I noticed there's a general difference in what you work for. You work for raising awareness for HIV in the community while also working for safe abortion laws, while also working with the youth group. So all these three are very different things. And what drives that?
So basically, I don't want to keep it in when we keep it as a LGBT agenda. So again, we are making our own self a box. I don't want to have put myself in a box where we work only about LGBT, because there are a lot of issues which if we start talking about it and then collaborate each issues together. So I think so it can be a bigger platform where we can talk about different things. I was working with Safe Abortion Partnership in Asia as one of the South Asia's big group where we talk about sexual rights for abortion rights for women. So that is also a big issue for us, to give, if we are talking about the equality and everything. So that was one platform where I got a chance to talk about how in India people are there on sexual rights about the women basically. Here men can go around pee around, have sex anywhere, talk about sex. They can do they say lauda lasun anywhere. But the same thing if a girl wanted to talk about. That's a very simple example. I heard this.
I'm just glad Lauda Lasun has been used on this podcast once at least. My favorite keyword.
Okay. So it's simple. If a man wants to have sex, he will say, okay, I want to have sex. And the similar way, if a girl wanted to say, if girls say, men will think you have characterless. How can you
say
sex?
A lot of words, bad words.
Yeah.
Starting with slut and going from there.
Yeah.
But so that's important to know that women have right on their own body, and when you as men decide to sign forums telling them ki you can't use your body for abortion or you can't have sex as per your own, or you become the censor chief and decide to cut an entire movie based on women's fantasies, then that shows what a truth you are.
Yeah, that's very true. Once you say, okay, we give the 33% reservation, and on the another way you will cut down everything. You will not let her speak for what she wants to speak.
And that's you understand that, and that makes sense to have an equality which does not just go for the LGBTs but also for women, because there are only so many so many tortures that we can endure as two different groups, and together we can also make sense of what we are facing. It's a very patriarchal society.
Again, one more experience I want to share, it's about Rajasthan. Again, it's very typical. In our society, people get married, guy should be 21, 20. He will be a married guy, there will be a girl is 18, 19. And within a 1 year, they think that before the anniversary comes, there should be a good news. Good news means there's a child.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
Not good news as in we are in a very settled and happy relationship and we don't beat each other up. That's not good news.
So no, that's what I'm saying. It's the idea about people getting married and within the 1 year to get child. It's there's nothing beyond that. Shadi karo, bacha paida karo, bas ho gaya.
So in those 2 years, your whole life's biodata is
change.
Samapt.
Samapt ho jata. So that whole idea about getting married and to get a child should be changed. People are there, it's simple. People don't have sex only for having for kids. They are beyond that thing. And it's if tomorrow if girl doesn't want a child, you can't force her.
Exactly.
I've seen that people forcing that, okay, chalo abhi tum shadi kar li. Thank God that's not happening in my family. But I've seen in the Rajasthan whenever every time I go to my native place, my age guy has having 4 kids, and I dude, what are you doing? 21, 22, and there's you having a kid. You don't know about your career. You don't know about what is going to happen, and you
Time
have
to open a kirana shop.
So that's what happened. In India, it's very prominent. So that's why we started talking about on safe abortion practices. Talking to doctors about why it is very important. It's just not tomorrow. It's also sometimes I get pregnant. That's I want to get rid of, I don't want to abort the child. The people will say, oh my god, बच्चा भगवान की देन होता है, तुम बच्चे को मार दोगे. And I okay, yet not bacha has come out. So why all these things happen? Why you're pressurizing women?
And we look at it from also the perspective of a rape victim, for example.
Yeah.
Who did not even want to be in that coital act, and now she is now pregnant with a baby. Is that Bhagwan ki dein? I'm asking all these criticizers. Is that what God wants for you? Or for the woman, just because you have the ovary, so you take the care of the baby? The man has fucked off somewhere else, and now it's your responsibility. You can't do anything about that. And so many minor cases also, for example.
Yeah.
People are forced to use, and that's the worst part. When you stop giving people the basic rights, they have to recourse to something else. Like people use hangers and coat hangers, and that's a painful, bloody procedure, and people die, and not only the baby, the mother will also die. In your whole attempt of making the law more stringent, you're killing people left, right, and center. And so you obviously are trying to advocate for that right as well.
Yeah. So that's one thing which
So what is the community doing for that? The society you work for?
So basically we arrange a lot of workshops, 3 days ka course where we talk about what are the different country has the laws, how we can work together, because in India still it's very smoother when we wanted to work, but in different countries women can't even talk. So there is a hotline, there is they have created a hotline how they work there, because they can't talk about abortion also. If you're not married girl, you can't talk about the abortion. So there are a lot of strict laws. So for them, how we are working. So basically it's a 3 to 4 days course which we are going through in a different colleges, talk to those health worker, because it's also very important to work with health worker. You have a law, you have everything, but if your health worker is not properly aware about these things, they will take do something. So we talk to them, we take their sessions on the different sexual hygiene, what is the sexual rights, what are how health worker helps in all this movement. So that is one thing which we are doing.
In all the surveys, which countries have fared better with regards to abortion laws, and which is worse?
Right now it's in India. It's still India, Sri Lanka. This side is more. Still, people are talking about Nepal as the one of the coolest country which I can talk about, because they have a lot of laws. Nepal is very small, but the way they are coming out with the different laws, same sex marriage law and all this. So they are very prominent, progressive country right now, I can say.
That also makes sense for them, because they are a tourist-based economy, and they have so many foreigners coming in. So they might have to adapt their regional laws to a lot of Hindus also oppose that over there. There's been strong backlash for LGBT rights in Nepal as well. But that being the only way the cash is flowing into the country is true. People coming for expeditions to the Everest and everything. So people go to the Mount Everest top and get married, and they're like, we can't do anything about it. But that's, as you said, Nepal is one of the cooler countries out there.
So that is there. But again, if you go to this side, Pakistan, Afghanistan,
it only gets worse for women.
Yeah, but it's very also that if you see in the Islamic countries, if you see Iraq, that's because abortion happened. There are a lot of sex assigned surgeries happen, but still they will say, okay, nothing happening.
Yeah.
We are very this way thing. So it's
it's the staunch obviously religion barrier, but people are allowed to do what they want to do in that regard. For a few countries that's the situation, but for the others there's still a lot of hardcore backlash for women trying to speak up.
So we have Vietnam is one of the country where they are also fighting. So these are country we also have every year annual meet from different country. People come together and talk about, because working in the country also, and also giving them different country people coming together and talking about the issues, what exactly happening, how they are, and also there are some success stories they share, so they can we can utilize those things in the country, how some techniques, some methods which they use, we can use that way.
Correct.
So that's the one thing which I am doing. Second is I'm working with I'm representing India in the youth voices count, which is a youth forum where people talk up for the gay man, MSM, not only gay men, I will say MSM is a male having sex with male, and the young transgender. So basically our idea about that forum is to give a knowledge about the HIV first, because HIV prevalence in the community is also very higher than the heterosexual community. So we talk to young people, because in young generation the young community is very vulnerable to get into the HIV risk. So we talk to them. We do a lot of events online, offline, where people can talk to people about safe sex, talk about also in the community right now it's very you talk about BDSM, you talk about a different thing. People are not open about these ideas. So maybe some way our forums are help them to to get into the safe sex side. People talk about this, so provide them a space where they can talk about themselves what
so
they want.
So you're saying like when you bring up BDSM, is it like from the angle of don't do it or do it but be safe?
Yeah, so it's like it's like this is my ideas right now. Whenever I talk, like it's also in the community, it's also very much difficult to talk about all this thing. Like if someone say I like BDSM. So people start setting that guy.
Okay, let me just take my pants off and start peeing on you. But yeah, I'm just saying. But like in regards to like people bringing up such requests, and it's uncanny. I don't know. I've never met anybody who's accepted that like BDSM, because I'm like, yeah, let me take my belt off. But but you have faced that, and how do you react?
So it's like whenever someone asks me, so this is also very important. Then someone who asks you some question, how you react to that question. You go and like, oh God, this is what happened. Like sometimes people come to me and like this is what I like. There are so many times where I on some dating app and someone say I like to have sex with 17-year-old guy. So I don't need to start.
Not 18. That's when he's spoiled. 17.
Yeah. So he's like that way answer. So I don't directly jump, but I need to think about it. What exactly happening? I need to, if there is something is really like critical situation happening, I need to report to someone, like go to some NGOs or talk to that person to not to do this, because dating app you can't just go beyond that if till you don't have any other information. So sometimes I get the question about the BDSM, about the having a sex with the child or something.
Bareback and stuff.
So you can't just like again drug is also there. So people talk about drugs. So but you can't just avoid that question and say, okay, I don't like this question, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You need to talk to that person. It's at the end it's his choice. It's not I will tell you that you do this. I can't order someone. And second thing also, I believe that what is good for me, I am the person who should choose, not the other person should choose. And everyone has that brain that
But education is very key at this point to have, like, if you're going to practice something, be a little more careful.
Yeah, so basically it's always
not
for them.
More careful, be very, very careful.
So it's always for them that choose them. I suggest them that this is the thing, if you do it, this can happen. If something more can go to worst situation and all, it will be the last the decision will be yours. I can suggest you tomorrow if you wanted to get out of this, or tomorrow you wanted to change yourself, I can help you in that. But it's depends upon you. I can't take a decision on behalf of yourself.
Alright, so last thing we want to talk about before ending this is you also have an initiative called Queer Kala, which is for LGBT artists, whoever wants to try their art out and promote it and sell it and like put it out there. You do that for them as well. And how did Queer Kala come to be?
So this is also 2 years back only I started this whole initiative where, so I also
killing it 2 years ago, like something happened, some revelation happened and everything like let's do this.
So yeah, that's the last year also I started the thing where we wanted to I started from myself, I started myself, I used to do a lot of handmade things, craft work, painting things and all. So I thought why don't we have a platform where right now there's a trend going on, so everything which is rainbow kind of thing, people really liked it. So I think there's one of the again a good initiative where we can talk about LGBT. We give them a platform together, it's advocacy is not just only one way where you go and talk to people. Correct. It's a different way. Use art as a medium. Right now we are doing this is also a kind of advocacy we are talking to. So I chose that also, that
but
giving
please
up.
Listen to our podcast, guys.
Okay, so that is a one art as I taken the advocacy thing where I started a thing where you come with your ideas. If you are good at sketching, you are good at doing doing making curtains, flags, making port things. So we do Diwali mein diyas, which is made out of rainbow colors. We do kandils, which is also again a rainbow thing. Then we do a pride flags. We do make curtains, different. So I have a bunch of friends who are from small cities. If I'm in Bombay, I have a lot of exposure.
Correct.
But if I'm in some city where I don't have any exposure, where people don't know, but so if I put it on something on social media, I have a friend circle who can go and at least watch. So I give them that platform that people can actually show their thing.
So how about you integrate Queer Kala and QNet to make a demo channel people had MAD back in the day for kids to learn crafts from? You can do that for them.
You can. That's a good idea. We can do
the initial. I take some commission from that.
Okay, so I'll give you the commission different way.
In views. No other way. Okay.
Okay. So that's what it is. Both the initiatives, it's a voluntary thing. So I I require also community support where people should come, not in the financially I'm saying, but in the thing where people should go and
show and support
that way. So that is also both those things are it's nothing I'm related to money. I'm get financial help out of this.
Correct.
So that's why everything is going on their own. The YouTube channel is it's all about whenever we get a chance, we create a episode, we create some documentary movie and we do that.
Correct.
Or this also Queer Kala, where we get the new artists, we tell them if you want to do it, you can put it send me a pictures, I can put it on my Facebook page or put it on the Instagram page where people can see, and it's very easy that if someone wanted to contact, they can directly contact.
That's again that speaks volume. Again, you're using social media for a good thing in terms of spreading the word out. Sumit, it's been amazing talking to you. I really think that the things you do and many things you do in terms of keeping the community alive and active, not only through art but also through activism, through actually going out internationally and talking about this, I think you play a very key role, and it'd be only amazing to see where you go from here. So before we leave, just leave us with one important message for all our listeners out there, young and old, who are now discussing about this.
I don't want you to go out on the road and standing and do protest. Simple thing can you do about accept yourself, whatever you are, and stop judging other people. Stop questioning other people. If you find some person who is queer next to you, just because you are not out and you don't want it to be open to your friend, just don't make fun of that other person. Just accept the reality in that way. Correct. Just don't do anything else.
And also educate yourself before you talk. Anyways, so that brings us to the end of the episode, Sumit. I hope you had fun.
Yeah.
I really have gained so much information through you, and I hope you come again soon, maybe in the season 2.
Sure.
And that was an episode of Keeping It Queer. Thank you so much, guys. Once again, say bye, Sumit.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, if you enjoyed the show, you can listen to more of it on any of the podcasting apps you like. You can look out for us on Audio Boom, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, Beyond Pod. But if you're looking for us on the iTunes India store, you might have a bit of a trouble finding us because of the language used on the show. So be sure to change your location and then listen to us. For now, it's me, Naveen Narona, signing off. Goodbye. Thank you so much. And please continue keeping it queer. Hey man, just help me out, man. I need some podcast, man. I haven't had a fix in a week. Just need some.
Don't you worry about it. I got podcasts galore for you, man. Just go to ivmpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna check it out.